We begin the story with a couple stalking a full group of slimes. They are silver slimes, there are 4 of them, says one of the guys. The couple thinks about how to eliminate them without letting them escape, since it is a rare species of slime, but suddenly a madman runs from behind them and charges directly at the monsters. He lands a critical hit, followed by another critical hit and another, until he eliminates all 4. All perfect critical hits. The enemies fall defeated with tremendous ease. The system notifies the player Yukito Takahashi, who has obtained boots, gloves, and silver slime armor. All S-rank items. What the hell was that? How did he finish off so many monsters with such ease? The couple wonders, especially impressed by the luck of the wretched guy. The guy just won the lottery. Yukito checks his inventory and observes the items he collected. He feels pleased to confirm his suspicions. This time, life will compensate him for everything he had to endure. Ah, but what did he have to endure, you might wonder. And it's a good question, and to answer it, we should start this story where it really should start. From the beginning. But before continuing, I tell you that this is... I forgot the name, wait. Ah, yes. And this is because I have good luck, life gave me a second chance or something like that. The beginning of this wonderful story is as follows. Yukito Takahashi at 85 years of age. He is a bronze rank adventurer, the lowest. His fate was sealed on the first floor of the Tokyo dungeon. An adventurer warns the others that the monsters are approaching. The world is invaded. The best option for survivors is to go deeper into the lower floors of the dungeon and try to survive. One of them asks the old man to accompany them too. He is in danger and it is not the time to hunt slimes. Yukito pushes his hand away. His target is still the damned slimes. Then everyone started leaving him behind. Looking down on him for never having improved his rank. One even pushes him for being in the way. Yukito falls to the ground. As he gets up, he thinks, probably several decades have passed since the establishment of adventurers. A status system common worldwide was implemented. However, it varies a lot between people. You level up when you kill monsters. Experience points are used for upgrades and attributes. You can obtain magical powers or other abilities. In fact, this is now considered normal. On the other hand, Yukito's status screen is disastrous. He is even one step away from reaching the maximum level. Still, his skills remain too low. For him, it is frustrating. He did his best. He kept hunting weak monsters without rest. That way he wouldn't be under anyone's shadow. He killed millions of slimes until he reached level 98. He didn't care about the mockery. Yes, they called him the damned old man of the slimes. Everyone laughed at him. His weapons broke while hunting monsters. In this world, level 99 is the maximum, and now only one is missing, one single slime, just one of those damned little ones, and it will all be worth it. Yukito runs desperately towards the beast. He grabs it with his bare hands, convinced that the delay in his skills is due to a secret mission. Once he passes that test, he will get the bulk of all the rewards. With his own teeth, he tears and destroys the slime's core. He opens his eyes at the notification. He did it. He reached the maximum level, and the system is going to reward him. He trembles with excitement. That is what he has been fighting for all his life. Then the system congratulates him. Yukito Takahashi, your strength has increased by 1 point. Is this a joke? He questions. He shouts in frustration. All his effort, over 60 years of effort, it was all useless. Through tears, he asks, is there really absolutely nothing for him? With all he had to go through, surrounded by bloodthirsty stares, Yukito can't take it. All his hopes have been destroyed. The invasion monsters managed to enter the dungeon and reach the only man who decided to stay behind. He doesn't even notice them. He only thinks about how horrible his life was. Everyone saw him as an inferior being. They looked down on him. He wasn't able to save his mother's life. She always trusted him, and he disappointed her. And ended up destroying his little sister's happiness. This life finally ends. A monster crushes Yukito. His blood and hair scattered are all that remains behind. Death is the system's notification, but of course we wouldn't be here if that were the case. Something strange happens. The notification shows multiple errors, then other notifications appear. An error was detected in Yukito Takahashi's status. The system will perform a rollback due to maintenance. He will be granted a bonus of 99 points as compensation. Congratulations, Takahashi and Yukito. It is heard as the old man tries to open his eyes. It turns out to be a kind receptionist. He is young again. Confused, he looks around, which makes the girl ask if he is okay. Yukito, still not understanding anything, takes the badge and thanks her. There is no problem. After moving away a bit, he leans against the wall. He checks his phone. There are no more doubts. Upon seeing the date, he recognizes the day he registered as an adventurer. What could have happened? He wonders. The last thing he remembers is seeing something about a bonus. Before dying, he immediately opens his status window. If it is what he imagines, it should. Of course, everything remains exactly the same. They have even returned him to level 1. But Wait, what is this bar? Now the tab can be moved. It is then that Yukito discovers something completely abnormal. He has a new basic feature in his system called luck. But where did it come from? And why is it at the maximum? That stat never existed. He never got to see it. He has no other option but to check it with his own eyes. He must hunt slimes. He heads directly to the first floor of the Tokyo dungeon. After a while of searching, he finds his target, a small group of blue slimes. He really feels at home being near those little monsters. Something moves swiftly behind him, catching his attention. He can't believe it. It is a silver slime. In his previous life, he had only seen one like that. According to stories, it gives a lot of experience, but he never managed to catch it. This time, he won't let it escape. Yukito slowly approaches from behind. He is ready to finish it off, but something falls next to his foot. It is an arrow from another adventurer, who immediately apologizes. The protagonist gets angry with that boy while the slime notices them. It quickly attacks Yukito. He is surprised and raises his guard. The slime jumps at him again, but now Yukito draws his sword and manages to counterattack, stabbing the monster's core, making it explode. Yukito levels up 4 levels in an instant. However, his weapon breaks with that single strike. After all, he will have to buy a new one. When he turns around, he notices a glow on the ground, and he can't believe it. It is a silver slime greatsword. Its characteristic gives it great attack, but it also gives it a 30% chance to miss the hit. He picks it up to examine it better and says, it is a good start. He's going to hunt all day until he is satisfied. It is then that he sees them, another 4 silver slimes. The monsters attack him as soon as they notice him. Yukito raises his new weapon, aware that it will be complicated to defeat them. With such a high percentage of missing, he positions himself, prepares his move, attack and lands a critical hit, then chains a combination and finishes off the rest. 4 perfect critical hits. The items obtained are amazing, all S-rank. Yukito quickly collects them. He is surprised to have hit 4 critical hits in a row. After that, he continues hunting for a full hour. He finds a total of 10 silver slimes, against which he had small disputes. After defeating them, he gets special loot from each one, enough to fill his bags when dusk arrives. He has no choice but to believe in it. His luck has finally changed. He will be able to have a normal life this time. He falls on the grass, but he doesn't care. Instead, he begins to reflect on his new power. This time, he could become someone worthwhile. He will make his mother happy. He will help her with her illness. And of course, he will help his little sister. Yukito stands up abruptly upon remembering them. He realizes that he once again has a home to return to after being alone for 70 years. He stores the sword in his inventory. He uses the dungeon exit and runs through the crowd. He needs to see his family again. He needs to see his mother, and he needs to see his sister Naomi. He arrives exhausted. And upon observing the apartments, he doesn't remember exactly which one was his house. He tries to recall as he goes up the stairs. He thinks about the terrible mental aftermath left by being a vagabond for so many decades. He recognizes his surname and knocks on the door of room 203. He stops his hand before opening and asks why. Where did these nerves come from? He is sweating, sighs, tries to relax, and gathers courage to do it. But he takes too long. Someone else opens the door. It is the protagonist's sister who gives him a cheerful welcome. He can't stand it. He jumps to hug her, calling her by her name. She gets confused. She asks Yukito why so much emotion. Is it a hidden camera prank? She jokes with her brother to let her go. In Yukito's mind, there is only one thought. This time it won't happen. No one is going to take away the most precious thing in my life. Not again. Once inside, Yukito begins to tell her all about his good luck. Naomi responds with surprise to that shocking news, and asks if her mother could really be cured using that ability. Of course, responds Yukito. Although in any case, a little effort is needed. He leaves the glass on the table, ending the conversation for the day. The next day, Yukito sells the rare items he obtained during the hunt, and with that money, he attends an auction. There he offers 10 million to get one of the best potions against negative effects. 10 million, wow, don't think it's dollars. After that, he visits the hospital along with Naomi to see his mother. Upon entering, the little one greets him with good morning. How have you been? The woman asks with a slight cough. Yukito says he was about to ask the same. Naomi directly offers her one of the desserts they brought for her. His mother shows gratitude, but mentions that they should use that money better to ensure enough food for the house. Yukito reassures her, assuring her that from now on there will be no need to worry about income. Naomi announces that both of them have another gift to give her. The woman looks at them confused. What do you mean? She asks. I know it's something sudden, says Yukito, but once you drink this potion, you will feel much better. Naomi explains proudly how her brother went to the dungeon and managed to gather a lot of money. His mother remains puzzled. How could a newly registered adventurer do so much in a single day? Yukito responds that he simply had a little bit of luck. Then he hands her the brew, asking her to drink it to the last drop. She uncaps the bottle and begins to consume the liquid. A strange but faint aura surrounds her for a moment. Her children watch expectantly. It worked. In a matter of seconds, she feels light. She no longer struggles to breathe, and her pains decrease notably. The protagonist feels great relief. Both siblings celebrate by high-fiving. They make a great team. By the way, Yukito, that thing had a horrible taste, mentions his mother. And of course, she had foreseen it. It's no wonder they brought the desserts. Her symptoms improved and the illness stopped advancing. After some rehabilitation sessions, she finally receives the okay to return home. Accompanied by her children, she still can't believe it. She thought she would never leave that hospital. After eating, she insists on washing the dishes. Nothing relaxes her more than old habits. Naomi is delighted that her mother has fully recovered, but Yukito responds that it is still not enough. "What do you mean?" asks his sister. "It's simple," responds Yukito. "That potion was only a temporary measure. It is not capable of completely eliminating the illness." Getting up from the table, Naomi questions, "Then how are we going to solve it?" "We need to get a powerful and legendary item," responds the protagonist, "something called elixir." Naomi recognizes the name from the news, the object found by the best adventurers in the world. It is only obtained below the 50th floor of the dungeon. Therefore, it is impossible to buy. Yukito nods. All that is correct. Unique items are special items that can only be used by those who obtain them. A glory that is only achieved by defeating a powerful enemy. Naomi doubts. Since it is not for sale, it means they should search for it on their own. Is her brother capable of reaching the 50th floor? Yukito, swatting a fly, responds that normally they would kill him like a dog. Naomi worries and insists that he shouldn't even try it, but her brother, with serenity, repeats the word. Normally. He turns to look at his mother and thinks, "The power given to me was not only luck, but also all the knowledge from my past life." In fact, what we need can be found in the upper floors without risking our lives so much. The ancient golem. It is the boss of the 20th floor, and its only drop is the elixir. However, not only is it difficult to encounter the monster, but there is also the possibility that it might not even drop what we are looking for. Yukito acknowledges the difficulty of his goal, but unlike his previous life, now it is much more likely to get the elixir, thanks to his current ability, luck. Naomi doesn't understand why her brother has a Machiavellian expression. Yukito plays dumb and asks what she means, but it doesn't matter. She trusts her older brother. Surely he will come up with some way to solve it. Yukito feels flattered by those words and responds affirmatively while refilling the glasses. Anyway, the protagonist will need to make some preparations for it. Naomi doesn't understand and clarifies. Well, yes, there is always some weak point to exploit. The next day, Yukito leaves a photo on his furniture. While thinking about the basics he must prepare before returning to the dungeon. His equipment, the silver slime greatsword, with a 30% chance to miss the hit, but that increases his damage, plus his clothes impregnated with silver slime tears, which grants him the possibility to reduce the damage received by half, 1 out of 3 times. Naomi appears from the corner and with a noticeable tone asks if he really plans to enter the dungeon dressed that way. "Of course," responds Yukito. "Normally you need armor, but his stats are too low to equip one. Even with all his luck, his other attributes continue to be terribly low. Upon checking his tab, he confirms that he won't be able to carry heavy armor. The only truly favorable thing is his sword. Besides, after hunting slimes, he learned a new trick, sure hit, which gives him a 30% chance to land a triple critical hit. Naomi understands that her brother seeks to improve his basic stats, and comments that in that case he should go to the 5th floor. Alice Grom interrupts Yukito. The monsters on that floor drop the famous miracle fruits. He already knew that information, so he prepares to leave. Naomi stops him to give him something before he goes out, a small snack she prepared for him. In case that fruit doesn't turn out to be good food, Yukito thanks her. He stores the food in his inventory and says goodbye to his sister. "I will return soon," he tells her. The atmosphere in the dungeon is suffocating. Mushrooms, his metal, even carnivorous plants. That's what the 5th floor of this place looks like. Mainly inhabited by plant-type monsters, it is easy to get lost in its undergrowth. Still, it is the tip of the iceberg. Already conquered by other adventurers, as long as he has the map, Yukito shouldn't have problems. After a while exploring, he finds what he was looking for. The nest of the Taunts. Monsters expert in ambushes thanks to their mimicry. At first glance, they look like common trees, but they are not perfect. Their eyes lack veins, and the direction of their roots is abnormal. Yukito picks up and throws a stone at the tree. It bounces, and the damned thing starts moving like a spider using its roots. From the ground emerges the true monster. Yukito prepares, charges, and cuts it in half with a single critical hit. Upon defeating it, he hears something rolling on the ground. It is one of the miracle fruits. Without hesitation, he picks it up and tries it. A small aura surrounds him as he tastes its slight apple-like flavor. The taste doesn't matter. What matters are its stats. His strength increased by 1 point. That means even someone as weak as him can become stronger. After that, Yukito hunts all he found, critical hit, fruit, eat, over and over until he is sick of the taste. Finally, he decided to try the snack that Naomi had prepared for him. Hours later, he checks his stat tabs again. He wonders if he has reached his limit, and yes, all his attributes are at the maximum. He has reached the average level of a warrior. Exhausted but satisfied with his progress, he decides to return home. 2 shadows pass behind him. Yukito turns and steps back with his sword in hand, but a voice stops him. Didn't they teach you that invading home grounds is bad manners? Maybe we should teach you some manners. They are 2 horribly ugly guys. Yukito quickly realizes they don't have adventurer identifications. They must be scavenger rats. That's right, one says, and look at you. Damned arrogant with all that expensive equipment. The ugly dwarf told him. The tall, ugly one threatens him with an unpleasant smile. That equipment looks very valuable. It would look better on us. If you don't hand it over, maybe we'll spare your life. In an instant, Yukito defeated that scavenger. He feels relief for it. He really is lucky. The enemy's ability was quite dangerous for the levels he has. It guarantees a sure hit in exchange for inflicting 30% less damage to the victim. Thanks to the silver slime clothes, the protagonist was able to repel half the damage. Simplifying it, he only took a small part of the impact. That dwarf didn't expect his partner to fall in one hit. Yukito points at him. You should get out of here if you don't want to be next. The scavenger raises his weapon, ready to continue the confrontation. He hopes to take advantage of the distance. The protagonist stores his sword, accepting such a problem. He can't reach him because he is a melee fighter. Sweating, the dwarf is glad that Yukito wants to surrender. It is, according to him, the smartest thing. Oh no, sir, responds the protagonist, opening his inventory. He takes out his own magic wand. Now the situation is fair. He has his stick with flowers tied around it. His enemy is in stitches. Hey, rookie, do you know what that thing is? Yukito responds that indeed it is the Staff of Foolishness. He found it minutes ago while exploring the 5th floor. The dwarf thinks. He is correct. That kid is just a rookie, even if it is a strange item. It is a completely unstable Russian roulette as it casts random spells. It doesn't have a good probability of being useful. It has a 40% chance to fail, 30% chance to achieve a basic attack, and less than 10% to get intermediate-level magic. Of course, he doesn't know that Yukito has luck at the maximum level. Maybe, says the little one. He wasted all his luck defeating that useless one. Above all, he seems not to even understand the weapon. The scavenger creates a fireball sure of being able to win. Even if Yukito manages an intermediate attack, he ends up being defeated by the dwarf's advantage, who has over 50 points from his equipment in attack. It is practically a guaranteed victory. He sends it with his voice to the dwarf and shouts that rookie luck ends now. Now try this. He shoots his fireball. Yukito mocks him, mentioning he is bored from having to wait for him. Besides, he has finished preparing his own attack. The Staff of Foolishness lights up, releasing multicolored symbols. It generates the image of a small rock in flames. Yukito holds the weapon over his head, invoking an enormous rock, because yes, it is a damned meteorite. Seriously, he lowers his staff, aiming at the scavenger, and launches his attack. Trees, branches, and flames fly in its path. Both attacks collide. The fireball is absorbed as if nothing. Shit, shouts the dwarf. There's only a 0.005% chance of casting that attack with that level of skill. The meteorite advances swiftly towards its target. The scavenger can only pray through tears because it is a high-level illusion, but no. His hair and clothes start to burn from the scorching heat. It is too much. He urinates in his pants. A moment before the powerful explosion, the area around the crater is completely charred. Inside it, only that ugly defeated rat remains. As God brought him into the world, not even Yukito's weapon withstands its own power. It ends up split and smoking. The protagonist throws the staff away as he begins to leave. He speaks to his enemy to apologize. He was simply very fortunate. Yukito stops upon seeing them. He won, but leaving them in this state would be a bit cruel. It is a nuisance, he thinks while cutting the vines. With them, he will tie them up in case they wake up, although it doesn't seem to be the case. Anyway, it will serve to arrest them and take them on the return trip to the 1st floor. Upon arriving, he delivers them directly to the police. The interrogation takes quite a while, exhausting the protagonist, who just wants to go to sleep. The next morning, Yukito returns to the adventurer registry and apologizes for the delay with the report. The girl, recognizing him, responds that it is no problem. The police already notified about the previous day's incident. Congratulations, adventurer Yukito Takahashi. The receptionist celebrates, handing a silver badge to the protagonist. He doesn't understand. He rose in rank. It must be a mistake, since he didn't even make the required progress. Reaching silver rank is not an easy feat. Even for those with talent, it usually takes 3 long years. Specific items are needed, and killing certain monsters as a contribution to the guild. There is no mistake, responds the girl. After all, those you captured are members of the Red Arm. Now Yukito understands. The Red Arm is a quite important criminal organization. She confirms and explains that, due to your good work in turning them in, you earned enough points. By themselves, they were adventurers equivalent to silver rank. The protagonist with this information. Compared to his past life, they would be quite strong, but he defeated them with too much ease. He takes his badge, mentioning that it was pure luck why he won that fight. The girl accepts his modesty and shows excitement to see his future results in the more complicated floors of the dungeon. The 10th floor is the limit for bronze rank adventurers, the 30th for silvers. Only gold ranks have no restrictions regarding dangers. While putting on his new badge, Yukito remembers his goal. At the same time, he returns the previous one and requests to clean the 20th floor. The receptionist worries a bit. Although you improved your rank, it is still very dangerous. At least avoid doing it on your own and bring company. Yukito accepts and thanks for the advice. Upon leaving, he thinks about how luck also helped him rise in rank by running into those idiots. Then someone interrupts him. It is an old man who asks for a minute of his time. You are the one who defeated those bandits, right? Asks the old man, pointing at the wanted posters. And the protagonist responds affirmatively, clarifying that it was only pure chance. The man lowers his gaze, trembling. He takes Yukito's hands, thanking him from the bottom of his heart. The protagonist doesn't know why. The old man tears down the posters and explains how those damned ones killed his son. Finally, someone gave them what they deserved. Yukito says he didn't expect so much, that he only did his job as an adventurer. Nonsense, responds the old man, kneeling before him. Thanks to you, my son can rest in peace. I will be able to give him the good news when I visit his grave. After that gratitude, the old man says goodbye. Yukito thinks about how rewarding it is to be appreciated by someone unknown. In his past life, he was only despised. Then he remembers that the world gets invaded at some point, within a few decades. He could do something about it, knowing the future. He wonders. He denies his thought. He hits his head with both hands. He must concentrate. The priority now is above all to save his own mother. He needs to get out of there and continue preparing. Torches illuminate the place. It seems to be a hideout. A man hits the table, cursing. He is furious with Yahama and Hashimoto, the scavengers, for having been arrested. Because of that, the others won't learn the lesson, and he also won't be able to pay the big guy. He bites his nails, stressed like a professional. He looks to his left, takes one of the knives. He insults the protagonist. Stabs his photo from the newspaper. He won't get away with it so easily. He must die. Suddenly, he calms down. He needs to be careful with his next steps. After all, he doesn't seem weak. He won a 2 against 1. Standing up, he says, it doesn't matter if he has some power. I have my tricks up my sleeve, and I will go after him. Not even luck will be able to save him. This doesn't seem like a very welcoming place, says the protagonist upon entering the 15th floor. The lonely mountain of death. It is characterized by its complicated and treacherous routes. Going in a group like those 3 becomes a difficult task, and with the rumor that there is a high crime rate, it makes it worse, something perfect for a lone adventurer like him. He sticks his pickaxes, using them as support to jump. He collects them and prepares to fight a vulture monster. He defeats it with a swift attack. He must continue leveling up, but after hunting so many slimes, they even stopped appearing. He kills another monster. If he concentrates on defeating large quantities, he will advance quickly. That is how he proposes to fight any type of enemy that crosses his path, obtaining a good amount of valuable items. That man watches him from a distance. He gets annoyed seeing that the protagonist is quite skilled, even with just a sword and casual clothes. There are no doubts. He says he is Yukito Takahashi. The guy thinks, angry, incredulous. And just that guy comes near his territory. He sighs and relaxes. He thinks that there is still no need to get upset. He just has to wait for him to lower his guard. During the night, Yukito sets up a small camp, planning to stay several days. The man, on the other hand, squeezes his brain to the maximum to devise an attack plan until he has a great idea. He turns around and runs to look for what is necessary. After all, that is his work territory. And no one knows it better than him. He won't even have to intervene directly. The advantage is all his, thinks the wretched one. As in every place in the world, the killer resists an ecosystem, and the killer will use that to his advantage. He enters monster nests to reduce the number of predators, and with that, corpses. He feeds the prey, increasing their number rapidly. If the food chain is altered, there will be an excess of certain species. A couple of days later, The man prepares in his hiding place. He's going to carry out his strategy, make it seem like an unfortunate adventurer got trapped in a swarm of monsters. That way, using nature, it won't attract the authorities' attention. Of course, to not get trapped in the middle, he obtained a very powerful repellent powder. He throws his bag directly into the monster nest. They all get agitated instantly and fly out in a swarm. "Very well," shouts the killer. "Devour him and don't even leave his bones." Yukito continues hunting monsters in the area. He notices something, then stops. What is that sound? What the hell? Is it a dark cloud? No, a swarm of deadly grasshoppers. Yukito takes his weapon. It is impossible to handle it by himself. Therefore, he forgets about fighting and runs like crazy. He needs to find people to join forces. Something comes to his memory. In his past life, he heard about a hidden supply base. Since its creation in the Red Earth Cave, the floor perhaps became much less complicated for adventurers. Although for some reason it didn't appear on any map. Yukito arrives at a cliff. From the other side, he observes the Red Earth. But there is no time to lose. He jumps down, sliding with his sword. He falls and bounces on an enormous toad. Crossing to the other side, he quickly arrives at the site. The color of those stones is different. Hey, there is a swarm of monsters out here. "I need a bit of help," shouts the prota. No one responds to his call. That shout only reveals his position to the grasshoppers. He begins to hit the rock. It is an emergency. Why is no one responding? Upon breaking the entrance and letting light in, he sees something totally unexpected. Yukito worries instantly. This place is. The Tide people look at him with fear and concern. Yukito apologizes for having interrupted their strange pastime. They desperately deny. It's not what it seems. The prota reassures them, clarifying that he was only joking. Quickly he passed by them and cut the ropes that held them. They are grateful. They thought everything was over upon reaching that point. "Yes, I suppose. What exactly happened to you?" asks Yukito. They all explained that they were kidnapped by scavengers. They were taken by surprise with some strange sights and ended up unconscious. They concluded that they were going to be sold. Otherwise, they would have been killed on the spot. Yukito understood. That place was a true hideout of some scavenger organization. But how? It wasn't supposed to be a safe site for adventurers. Of course, maybe he had stumbled upon something that shouldn't have been discovered yet. Surely sooner or later the authorities would find and clean that place, turning it then into a refuge for other adventurers. But well, he hadn't taken it into account. During his whole life, he only concentrated on finishing off the powerful slimes. Basically an old man living in his own cloud without paying attention to what happened around him, having fun and nothing more. It was something embarrassing, but even more important. This is unexpected, thinks Yukito. Still, he will have to rely on them to face what is coming. They all turn upon hearing the protagonist's shouts. He apologizes for rushing them. But a swarm of monsters is approaching at full speed. And indeed, the grasshoppers advance furiously, without stopping until they devour their target. They all were surprised to see such a quantity of monsters. They worry and get scared. Yukito continues shouting. "As you can see, there is no time left. If you want to survive, you will have to cooperate with me. As always, there are some who doubt in these situations." A girl shouted a resounding no. They don't even have armor to withstand an attack. Another agreed with her. Their equipment had been stolen by the damned scavengers. Yukito responds with confidence. Opening his inventory, he slides his finger and takes out the majority of items he had obtained by hunting monsters. "Take, my children, use whatever you like the most." They all observed amazed by such items. They were of the best quality. Yukito added that he was willing to give them away. "Really?" they asked. They were the best items from the 15th floor. No one understood how this guy had filled his inventory with so many things. Who the hell is that guy? Yukito isn't even a rank. Quickly, they began to choose their equipment according to what attracted them the most. Attack, protection, or that their breasts looked good. "Firm, can we really keep these things?" asked a girl. "Of course," responded Yukito, raising a finger. "And I didn't say you necessarily have to do it, but in exchange I would like to take command. By the way, those damned bugs are taking too long to arrive." As if they weren't very close, they began to debate. After all, he had saved them. And on top of that, he was giving away super valuable equipment, without hesitation. Someone accepted to follow his orders. Another also joined excitedly. He doesn't plan to surrender to some disgusting grasshoppers. Yukito was disconcerted by those looks. He didn't expect that reaction. His whole life he was pushed aside, treated like horse shit. This was the first time that a group of people showed him trust. He bowed and deeply thanked everyone. That gesture finished convincing the rest. Now Yukito raised his hands and suggests taking advantage of the narrow cave entrance, creating a bottleneck to avoid being surrounded by the swarm. They had to reduce their number by any means. The plan was simple, and although they were still worried, they perfectly understood what they had to do. With everything clarified, Yukito took his weapon. "Very well. It is time to finish off those damned monsters. The insects are crushed. cut and burned left and right. The whole group uses their abilities to stop the monster's passage. From outside, the cloud of grasshoppers is visible. It is horrible. They seem to have come out of hell itself. They are devouring the earth. More and more enter constantly, but the adventurers don't seem to have an end. Yukito thinks while fighting, this is not working. At this rate, they won't be able to withstand it. The ceiling begins to collapse, worrying everyone. The protagonist orders to retreat without losing formation. The rocks shatter. The monsters manage to break through after devouring part of the mountain. Now the swarm is able to enter. The group of adventurers is surrounded. Yukito looks inside the cave. They can't escape through there. It is unstable and could collapse. Besides, it is full of explosives. Explosives. Yes, they can definitely use explosives. Raw dynamite acquired notifies the system. Yukito gives the order to take the dynamite. They all hurry to collect them. If they manage to use it well, they will have a good opening. After that, the group fights the swarm for hours. Little by little, they are forced to retreat until they are at the limit. The insects continue devouring the mountain until only a small part remains. There is only a precipice behind them. They are exhausted. Even the medic is at the limit. Yukito looks into the void for a moment, closes his eyes, and mentally prepares for what he is about to do. "Listen to me, everyone," he shouts. "I need you to give me the dynamite you took before." They throw it to him, avoiding that it will still be insufficient to blow them all up. There will be thousands and thousands more of them. Yukito catches them, he knows it. Therefore, they will blow up the grasshoppers along with the cliff. He selects all the dynamite and begins to place them. The monsters open another hole in the wall. Soon they will be without protection. The protagonist gives the order to flee. They worry about him. The warriors can't even use bombs as weapons. "Trust me," says the protagonist. The swarm breaks through the walls and goes straight for Yukito. In life, there are moments when you must take risks. This is one of them. Yukito activates the dynamite with his system and jumps backwards into the void. "I hope you all rot in hell, disgusting bugs." "Warning," says the system. The user does not possess the skill for explosives. Probability of detonation less than 50%. Already, warriors don't have skills with explosives. And to make it worse, another warning. The dynamite is raw. Probability of activation less than 25%. Yukito prays to God to allow him to succeed. And of course, since his luck is so high, it worked. A light illuminates the area. Multiple explosions destroy a large part of the swarm along with the ground. Yukito falls in a nosedive, still being pursued. He thinks quickly upon seeing the rocks collapsing. He uses them to propel himself, jumping between them. He holds his sword tightly and uses it to cut several rocks, also finishing off the rest of the monsters. As I was telling you, something unexpected. The queen of the grasshoppers. She is much bigger and more disgusting than the others. Yukito uses the same ability of the scavenger he defeated earlier. Sting. He lands a perfect critical hit, succeeding. Although he sweats, he smiles satisfied for having achieved it. But upon killing the creature, he loses momentum. He won't reach the ledge. He throws his sword and grabs onto the wall. No, it wasn't enough. He slips and continues falling into the void. He only needed a little more. A rope wraps around his arm. Yukito holds on tightly. The group of adventurers begins to pull on it to lift him up. The protagonist smiles. He was about to bite the dust. Moments later, all the grasshoppers have been torn to pieces. Yukito observes from the top, taking a rest. It seems he managed to come out alive from this little bet. The adventurers thank him again. It is incredible that no one died in a wave of monsters as large as that one. While they celebrate, Yukito hears the system, exterminating a large number of monsters. You are granted the title of Exterminator, which gives 20% more damage against insect-type monsters. Plus, the user levels up 3 levels. New skill unlocked, Warrior's Intuition. The door is destroyed with a kick. The killer enters in despair. How could he survive that? Besides, he destroyed the damned hideout. At this rate, someone from above will surely seek his head. He takes a bottle, cursing Yukito, drinks from it and smashes it against the wall. "That damned wretched one. I swear that Ryan will end you, even if it costs me my life." Days later, the protagonist returns to the adventurer building. The people, and especially the girls, talk about him. He became popular after the latest events. It makes Yukito a bit uncomfortable. They start calling him the Mountain Crusher, hero of multiple adventures. The guild recruiters quickly go after the protagonist. However, he rejects every invitation. He is in a hurry and not a big fan of teaming up with others. After all, his goal right now is to get the elixir. Besides, when groups are formed, the drop of items is random and their rarity is inferior. Yukito laments. It seems luck is not omnipotent. Still, in his past life, he was always alone. He can't complain about what he has now, under the beautiful sunset. Yukito returns home. Naomi and his mother prepare a good dinner for him. The three thank the Lord for the food and begin to eat. This brings enormous nostalgia to the protagonist. since even when they were poor, they never lacked a surprise celebration. Naomi then speaks. She finds it surprising that her brother already wants to go directly to the 20th floor. His mother, on the other hand, worries. According to rumors among the neighbors, the 20th floor has been having changes, as if it had transformed. Naomi agrees with her, and shows a graph in which only 15% of adventurers manage to conquer that floor. Yukito responds that there will be no problems. Lately, he has been doing quite well. His mother, seeing the framed newspapers, says she is happy for his achievements, but don't push yourself too hard. Seeing a son sacrifice so much for his family is something no parent would like to see. Yukito remains silent. The memory of his deceased mother returns before his eyes. With a calm smile, he responds, "Seeing your mother sick is also something no son would endure. See, she wants to insist, but Naomi stops her. It is not something that can be avoided. Mom, Yukito, after all, is stubborn, and it is impossible to make him change his mind." She calms down and responds that it is true. That he is identical to his father. Yukito, while eating, clarifies that. Anyway, he does it because he wants to. There is no need to worry while they eat calmly. Yukito thinks about how he couldn't save his mother in his past life. That killed him inside, like a stake piercing his heart, to fix his mistakes. Getting the elixir is paramount. That will mark the true beginning of a new life. And once dinner is over, he thanks his mother for having prepared it. Enormous columns rise to the ceiling. Upon going down the stairs, the heavy atmosphere of the 20th floor is felt, the great wall beyond physics. Yukito begins to run towards the enemies at the entrance, two monsters of solid stone. There is nothing organic on this floor. The proto advances and easily kills the monsters. They are extremely dangerous, although their actions are somewhat systematic. A gargoyle launches an attack. Yukito manages to split it in two before receiving damage. He can't afford to waste time. After a while running, he stops. He has arrived. An enormous stone monster stands before him. It stands up and begins to head towards the proto. Yukito is serious, sure of being able to achieve it. He must pay attention and analyze his opponent very well. He dodges the first strike of the golem, after the second. Yukito quickly talks about his sword, counterattacks and destroys the crystal sphere, embedded in the monster's chest. The protagonist has emerged victorious once again. But it is not the golem Yukito was looking for. This was only a guardian of this great door. Yukito places his hands to open it. It is now, he thinks. Today is the day his new life truly begins. Yukito enters the boss room. In the center there is a gigantic symbol, but no enemy in sight. The doors close behind him. The symbol lights up, invoking an enormous monster with rock armor, and an unknown language engraved on them. This one is a true ancient golem. Yukito prepares and takes the lead. The golem launches a strike that is immediately dodged. Taking advantage of the opening, he attacks the monster's leg. The protagonist tries to maintain concentration. The boss is extremely resistant and strong, but with its lack of mobility, it is a matter of time before he destroys its core. "This is the moment," murmurs Ryan. The damned one followed him to the boss room. The room's symbol lights up again. Another golem is invoked. Yukito is stupefied. Because another boss just appeared. It can't be, he thinks. He turns towards the entrance. There is only one logical answer, an intruder, but there is no one. The door is closed. Yukito reasons, this is the 20th floor. There are no beginners here anymore to activate a double raid by accident. Therefore, a dagger flies at his back. Fortunately, Yukito manages to block the attack in time, but this is definitely not an accident. Ryan clenches his teeth in annoyance. He didn't expect the protagonist to have such good reaction time. Anyway, he still has the advantage. This guy is an idiot. This boss cannot be faced alone. Minimum, it should be 4 people. He only had to follow him to generate a second boss, and he really doesn't care if the golems attack him. After all, he has a level much higher than the bastard. This is Ryan Keto, thief level 52. He uses the skill cat step to approach the second boss and hit its back. Activates his shadow cross and hides again, now with both monsters activated. Killing Yukito will be a piece of cake. Ryan fully trusts himself. He still has his invisibility cloak. Harry Potter gave it to him, a rare S-rank item with it. The protagonist won't be able to locate him. It is a 3 against 1. Ryan impregnates his dagger with poison and attacks Yukito. This time it goes unnoticed. The system notifies that the poison's effectiveness has not been confirmed. Changes position, Ryan grunts. Does he carry some type of anti-poison equipment under his clothes? Well, he doesn't only have daggers to dominate him. He throws 2 spikes to hinder Yukito's movement, also some blue balls that seem harmless until they shoot needles in all directions. Ryan places traps everywhere, electrified with poisonous gases. That is his specialty. With all this, Yukito will have much less range of movement. Only a matter of time before the golems tear him apart. The protagonist continues fighting. Falling into one of those traps would be his end. Ryan goes to a higher point to appreciate the spectacle. Yukito dodges another strike while raising his voice to greet. Ryan tenses instantly. Who the hell is he talking to? You won't keep placing your pathetic little traps, asks Yukito, directly to the killer who can't believe it. When did he discover him? Don't just sit there doing nothing. Did you like me so much that you need to stalk me? Asks the protagonist. Yukito throws the dagger back. Ryan dodges it, confused, and asks, how the hell did you find me? Oh, you don't know, it's called warrior's intuition. It is a quite famous ability. Don't fuck with me. Ryan spits furiously. A normal skill like that wouldn't surpass a higher level one. Yuki continues mocking while adopting a combat stance. It doesn't matter if it's true. Ryan, without a doubt, draws his main weapons and attacks by lunging forward. Yukito blocks the strike with his sword and counterattacks, sending him flying. With a confident smile, he declares an absolute truth. That phrase should tell whoever remains standing after the fight. Yukito hits Ryan, who furiously spits curses. You're a fucking liar. It wasn't warrior's intuition. Yukito doesn't respond. He isn't actually lying. The ability he unlocked allows him to sense nearby dangers. The activation possibility is almost nil, less than 1%, even 0.1% for special detection. But against his luck, that probability is irrelevant. That is the reason he was able to locate the assassin and perceive his traps. Ryan advances, admitting that the protagonist possesses talent. Yukito thanks him for the compliment, ready to continue the combat. Their swords clash violently, sparking with each impact. Ryan takes the lead since his level is superior. The system notifies the penalty effect and whether it was evaded. Ryan laughs because of it. I congratulate you. Even against conditions like these, you came prepared. Yukito jumps. He uses a golem as a foothold, changes his trajectory, and raises his sword to strike. But Ryan reacts and dodges with an agile leap. Being in the air, you won't be able to dodge the protagonist. Be Sting. But Ryan smiles confidently. Butterfly dance. As if seeing impossible movements, he dodges the attack. I didn't expect to miss. The assassin goes after him while explaining mockingly. When two opposite abilities cross paths with a precise strike and a perfect escape, everything comes down to the combatant's levels. Ryan attacks and cuts Yukito's leg. The protagonist retreats with a groan, and Ryan finishes him off with taunts. A slow warrior like you could never catch me. A golem concentrates energy and fires a devastating ray, which Yukito barely dodges. But Ryan takes advantage to pursue him and attack again. Ryan moves among the bosses with naturalness. His experience, speed, and knowledge keep him safe from the golems. Yukito no longer responds, forced to concentrate on dodging both Ryan and the colossi. A sharp pain pierces him. His foot is injured after stepping on one of his opponent's traps. Ryan smiles maliciously. Listen carefully. My traps are inevitable, he says. He lunges at him, saying that on the 20th floor, the best prepared always survive. The skill Scorpion's Edge. Yukito covers himself desperately, but the force throws him against the wall. His sword slips from his hands. Ryan lunges to finish him. Yukito shouts desolately but presses a hidden switch on the wall. It was all a crude lie. A sphere of energy envelops Ryan in the air. He opens his eyes in horror. A gravity trap. Yukito picks up his sword and responds calmly. The guides for these bosses were made under normal conditions. But when an idiot generates a second boss, the situation becomes obsolete. No one can prepare for something like this. Ryan tries to insult in vain due to the gravity. The golems take the opportunity to attack. Yukito dodges as best he can while shouting at him. With two bosses, the patterns in the room change completely. How didn't you notice? Yukito asks with an air of superiority. Ryan tries to shout but barely manages to emit broken sounds. He is in real trouble. A tremendous blow hits Ryan, smashing him against the wall and leaving his face all bloodied. The golem lifts him with both hands and slams him against the floor. Ryan is left trembling, almost unconscious. With his face bathed in blood, he can barely ask, How? I didn't even notice that trap in the room. Yukito observes him seriously with his sword firm in his hand. I think I told you from the beginning it was warrior's intuition. Ryan coughs blood. His body is too battered. Yukito asks him to stay aside for a moment. Once I defeat the bosses, I'll hand you over to the authorities. He soon advances toward the monsters with firmness. Don't fuck with me, Ryan responds, startling the protagonist. In that case, I'll take you to hell myself. Delimiting the bosses, he takes out a bunch of explosives, wraps them around his body, and shouts, Alahab. No lie, he shouts. These explosives are far above your level. You won't withstand it. Yukito feels real panic. What the hell is that damn lunatic doing? With a maniacal smile, Ryan presses the system panel, activating the bombs. Everything explodes around him. Yukito covers himself with his sword, trying to resist the impact. The floor collapses under his feet. The protagonist plummets, crashing on his back. it takes several seconds for him to come to. As he gets up, he thinks it will be impossible to return to the surface soon. I passed through several floors. The good thing is I discovered a secret room. However, the situation doesn't improve. The golems come down pursuing him, surrounding him without giving him respite. A light catches his attention. What is that? And it seems extremely valuable. Yukito observes it and smiles at the irony. After all, secret rooms and treasures always go hand in hand. The real problem is the reduced space in the room. He can't evade the golems or face them head-on. The only option is to bet his fate on the chest's contents. He lunges toward it. The golem strikes at Yukito. He dodges by jumping off the wall. His injured leg makes things difficult. A little cut, Mom. They have that leg, you know, with a little butt. He falls on the boss and jumps pressed toward his target. Surprisingly, Yukito has grown tired from the golem's spinning attack. He loses his sword and is left prostrate against the wall. I'm fine, he thinks. My spine doesn't seem to be broken. There's no time for doubts. The golem attacks again. Yukito tries to move away, but he trips and receives the devastating blow on his legs. His limbs become unusable. Trembling, Yukito hits the floor furiously. Don't give up, he tells himself. Although he feels great pain, but what the hell does it matter? He continues his way, dragging himself. He's a few meters short. This is nothing, he says. Compared to my past life, this is nothing. He keeps advancing, using his fingers. He can't give up here. He raises his hand to reach it and opens the chest. Inside, a bracelet of the highest quality. Yukito smiles, determined to triumph again. One of the bosses advances while the other charges a laser to attack him. Yukito takes the bracelet, equips it quickly, and says, "Yes, I haven't lost my touch." The warp bracelet. It's a strange object that allows the user to teleport to another location. The artifact is perfect for Yukito. Without hesitation, he opens his system and activates it. The golem is about to reach him. Warning, the system tells him, your profession is not compatible with the item. The activation probability is less than 50%. The monster raises its arm to crush him. Warning, insufficient magical power to activate the item. The activation probability is less than 35%. The blow descends, but the bracelet activates just before impact. Of course, Yukito's luck. The golem crashes into the chest. By pure luck, it received the full attack from the other golem. Yukito exits the portal with his legs shattered, sword in hand, and unleashing all his strength in a cut. He is willing to give everything for victory. The golem charges its laser and fires wildly, damaging only the wall. The resistance of these monsters is impressive, but Yukito doesn't stop. He uses the bracelet again and appears over the fallen boss. He prepares to stab its core, but the golem begins to rise. Yukito loses his balance. At that instant, the second boss charges with a brutal strike. Yukito reacts and teleports behind him, punishing him with a cut to the back. The monster turns to counterattack but fails, and the protagonist returns to the other, still weakened boss. No matter how many times he is about to die, he won't give up, Yukito thinks as he launches a direct strike to the core. Both bosses begin to yield after enduring the explosions caused by Ryan and the constant blows from the protagonist. Their bodies show cracks. The battle prolongs for several minutes, but Yukito makes a mistake. He appears in the middle of both golems. His body falls as if in slow motion, the perfect target. The giants charge at the same time. Inches from impact, Yukito activates the bracelet and disappears. The golems end up hitting each other, severely damaging their own cores. In the reflection of collapsing, Yukito emerges in the air over one of them and unleashes his ability. Sting. The core shatters into pieces with a critical hit. In the reflection of the remaining golems, the figure of the protagonist is seen. He uses the bracelet, appears in front of the monster, and unleashes a great cut in its section. The impacts destroy the core completely in a devastating ultimate. The two bosses fall at the same time. The item must refresh. Yukito Takahashi defeated the boss monster, Ancient Golem, ×2. The player obtained 2 legendary rank items, Elixir. Yukito contemplates his rewards. He achieved his objective, not 1 but 2 elixirs. Without thinking, he opens one with his teeth and drinks it to the last drop. A green light envelops his body, healing every wound quickly. Recovered, he lies back on the golem's dust and looks toward the exit. Something very complicated. Luckily, he found a way to move forward. The player has fulfilled the special conditions. Titles obtained: Survivor, Resistance Medals, Giant Slayer, Justice Bringer. After relaxing for a few minutes, Yukito checks his inventory with joy. It wasn't a dream. Ready to return, he gains momentum and with multiple jumps manages to return to the boss room. He is surprised to see Ryan's invisibility cloak. He has no choice but to collect it as evidence for his report and decides to do so immediately. He already had in his hands what he most needed to obtain from the dungeon, so he withdraws with his head held high. Upon leaving, he went directly to report the incident. The receptionist is terrified upon seeing the blood-stained cloak and runs to call the supervisor. Yukito fears that information might get him into trouble. However, the man turns out to be very friendly and offers him a reward for his contribution to society. But Yukito interrupts him since there is a much more important matter he must attend to. At great speed, he crosses the streets. He wants to see his mother as soon as possible. People already recognize him, and within 10 minutes the entire news announces how he managed to defeat 2 golems, in addition to breaking the record of the 20th floor. Yukito arrives at his home, opens the door slowly, and receives a great welcome. All that remains is for his mother to consume the elixir. A couple of days later, in the hospital, Yukito and Naomi accompany their mother to receive the results of the new studies. It's intense due to the expectation, and after saying it in the best way, the doctor speaks. Miss Yuki has been completely cured. The doctor also celebrates it. He confesses that, Yukon. He confesses that he had his doubts about the elixir, but it turned out to be an authentic medicinal marvel. Naomi cries, hugging her mother, happy to see her finally recovered. Yuki takes her son's hand. Everything is thanks to you, my dear boy. Thank you very much. Yukito feels a lump in his throat before responding. It really is thanks to you, Mom. You always did the best for us. I am very grateful that you raised us. I love you very much. I finally said it. The words I always longed to tell her, and even if it's in another life, it was totally worth enduring so much. Naomi, through tears, teases her brother. She reminds him that the doctor is still listening and he should save those words for home. Yukito feels embarrassed. He hadn't realized. You really are an airhead, Naomi responds. You really should pay more attention to your surroundings. Everything freezes. A shadow is drawn on the window. Someone enters talking to himself. It's really sad to think that such a kind and nice family will have to drown in suffering. The only acceptable thing is that we are in a hospital. I can already imagine the news. We tried our best, but we couldn't save her. I suppose that way her family will accept it sooner or later. The cause of death could be a heart attack. The stranger tries to assassinate Naomi, but Yukito reacts in time and surprises him. What the fuck do you think you're doing? He shouts furiously. Instead of responding to the intruder, he asks how it's possible that Yukito can move. Suddenly, the protagonist's memories unlock upon clearly seeing that guy's face. You're the hero, right? The hero, the most powerful adventurer in the world, #1 in the ranking, also known as the savior. Correct, responds Blondie. I am that same one. My name is Yama Cosmol, and how can you see my identification? I am the hero, and no, it's not a fake badge. Then why? Asks Yukito. Why did you attack my sister? Hey, interrupted Yama. I already answered one question, so it should be the same. Absolutely no one is capable of moving within my void barrier, except those who have experienced death before. In other words, there's only one explanation for my confusion. You are also a reborn one. Yukito understands that question as confirmation that Yama was also a reborn one, and indeed, he soon clarifies it to speed up the conversation. I am simply eliminating the causes of the world's destruction. The protagonist questions the most logical doubt. What the hell does Naomi have to do with the end of the world? She is one of the factors, responds Yama calmly. You see, I'm not worried about her per se. The important thing is the negative effect it will have on her future husband. Yukito immediately remembers that man, his sister's husband. Yes, that same one, adds the hero. He is an incredibly important person on a global scale. The failure of his marriage had a catastrophic impact on his life and ended up being one of the causes that made everything go to shit. That's why I need to remove your sister from the path. It's nothing personal. Did you like my explanation? He asks. No, not at all, responds Yukito. The past is very different from the present. Things changed. Yama is surprised by the reaction, but Yukito continues with a piece of idiot. This time I managed to save my mother's life by curing her illness. So Naomi won't have the need to look for night work to get money for medications. She won't even meet that guy. There's no reason for you to try to kill her. The hero reflects for an instant. Maybe you have that reason, but anyway. He takes out a weapon from his inventory and continues. It's a good hypothesis. Only if I kill her, I'll have 100% certainty that she won't cause problems. Yukito doesn't back down. He won't let him hurt his family. Yama sighs. He doesn't want to assassinate him if it's not necessary. His goal is to prevent the end of the world, not to spill unnecessary blood. Good idea, responds Yukito coldly. Then you can leave now. A genius idea crossed the hero's mind. Fight with me and prove to me that you have that reason, Yukito asks incredulously. Is this perhaps a twisted joke from some cheap, generic, low-quality manhwa? And the answer is yes. Bennett says yes. It didn't seem like it. Yama was serious. He wanted to check how special the protagonist is and if it's really worth the risk of not killing Naomi. The idea irritates Yukito, especially coming from a supposed hero. Yama apologizes but insists, "There is no other option. I am vastly superior to you. It's madness. All his stats reach 3,000 points. Don't worry, it's something simple," he adds while approaching with a firm step. "If you don't have enough power, you can't protect anyone, whether a stranger or your own family. It's a universal rule." He turns around, takes distance, and raises his posture. "So what do you decide? Will you let me assassinate your sister, or do you plan to face me?" The tension is unbearable. Yukito knows he can't escape. The bracelet will only serve as a temporary solution. He can't protect her 24 hours a day, much less defeat Yama. He takes a deep breath, raises his sword, and makes a decision. The hero seems to like it. "There's no need to worry. I'm not asking you to defeat me. That would be impossible. You see, the limit of my void barrier is 10 minutes. Survive that time and it will be enough for me," said the fake blonde rooster. Yukito asks if he wants to do it right there in front of everyone. "No," responded Yama, raising the window. "We could destroy the hospital with our power. Let's change location." He jumps and tells Yukito to follow him. He turns toward Naomi. He must do it. He must protect his sister. He chooses a small park to carry out the test. Yama asks if the place is suitable for Yukito. He denies having problems with the site and only asks him not to be too rough. "Well then," Yama responds firmly, "let's start with something small." He snaps his fingers and invokes 5 elemental magical runes. He fires them all together at Yukito. He manages to dodge and block the attacks, although it seems a bit exaggerated for just the start. Yama smiles with a playful air. "Let's see, this shouldn't be too problematic, right?" Yukito is surprised. Yama has cloned himself. "There are always situations where enemies don't surround you," warns the hero and advances together with his copies seeking to pressure him. "Damn," responds Yukito. "Of course that's over the top." While using 2 substitute dolls from his inventory, he blocks Yama's attack, but his helpers are destroyed instantly and he is forced to retreat. The hero recognizes his ingenuity. "Well prepared, but you can't win a combat if you don't attack the opponent." "I know," answers Yukito, taking out the renewed staff of foolishness. "The advantage of being able to alternate items is very convenient." He directs the meteorite against Yama and impacts him fully. Yukito starts to think of a plan, but the hero interrupts his thoughts. "Now I understand that was the bonus you received. In my case, it was the void barrier, and in yours, it was good luck." Yukito curses. He barely managed to eliminate the 2 clones with that attack. "You really can see through everything." "Of course," responds Yama with confidence. "Just by looking at your recent achievements, it's as clear as water." Yukito imagines it must be something horrible. "Look, the guy isn't an idiot. He discovered the protagonist's secret power quite easily." Yukito imagines it must be something horrible for the great hero, but Yama denies calmly. "Luck can also be an ability. However, there are problems in this world that require something more than luck." He generates new magical runes and invokes 4 elemental creatures. "Right now, I am that problematic existence for you." Yukito admits he is aware of it. Not everything can be resolved with luck. However, while responding, he remembers the only thing that could give him a minimal advantage when Yama showed me his status. The only incredibly low stat was his luck. He really doesn't want to play dirty because he wasn't raised that way, but there aren't too many options, and even so, he feels no doubts. He made his decision long ago. He will do whatever is necessary to protect his family. Yama decides to increase the pressure, fires multiple attacks that tear his clothes, and sends his summons to the front. "You still haven't shown me the power to face the world's problems." The fire and water creatures attack first. Yukito, with no options, bets everything. He must take advantage of his rival's bad luck, searches for the bracelet in his inventory, equips it, and upon activating it, thinks of seeking the greatest possibility of victory. Warning. Magical power and the ability are insufficient to use it. Activation probability less than 35%. The attacks are about to hit him, and at the last second, as always, the bracelet works. "Wow, it's that beyond the park." Yukito puts thanks to the teleportation. He won't take long to be located. Yama tracks him from the air and in a matter of seconds reaches him. The protagonist apologizes. "Sorry for changing zones, but I have a motive. If you're testing me, then you'll also have to participate. If you're truly a hero, you would never allow innocent people to get hurt." Yama understands his intention instantly and smiles with interest. "You're right, Yukito. I am a hero, and hurting this person would be unforgivable, so I won't use large-scale magic." Already to the fingers and his summons disappear, he even sheathes his sword. "But there's something you must keep in mind. Being unarmed is not a weakness for me." He generates arrows of pure light with another ability. The protagonist also sheathes his sword, instead equipping a shield to increase his probability of surviving. "It's nothing new for me," declares Yama. "I've dealt with hundreds of ruffians who use civilians as protection in my past life." A rain of attacks falls over Yukito. He dodges with precision and speed. An arrow is approaching, and he manages to direct it with his shield, breaking a gas pipe. Yama descends and takes advantage to say that assassins, scavengers, corrupt political thieves, the closer to the end, the more those plagues multiply. He activates earth magic and forms spikes that emerge from the ground. Yukito lunges to the side, escaping barely, and while fleeing, "Where really I lived practically locked in the dungeon, only going out to replenish supplies or look for food on the streets. I never thought too much about those things." Yama reaches him flying. "A shame. I would have liked to have more extensive chats about our past lives." He lunges with a punch that Yukito barely manages to evade, hiding under a truck. Without letting him respond, the hero reaches him with a brutal kick. The shield absorbs part of the impact, but even so, Yukito is thrown like a sack against a wall. In pain, he gets up. "I'm the type of person who prefers closed and silent places." Yama lets out a mocking laugh. "Then you're nothing more than a coward." "Even if you say it like that, I can't simply change who I am," replicas Yukito while improvising, steals a skateboard, and uses it to flee at full speed. The pursuit becomes tedious for the hero. "This is starting to bore me. You demonstrate nothing by just escaping." He activates a rune and creates hundreds of projectiles that block the path. Yukito is forced to stop. Yama clenches his fists, determined. "If that's all, then it's over for you." The protagonist turns his head to his left to a pole, exactly what he was looking for. He lunges toward it and kicks the base. The crash surprises Yama. Why the hell did he do that? While the pole begins to yield, Yukito smiles with determination. "It's time for the counterattack." The kick manages to knock down the electric pole. Yama is momentarily bewildered, but suddenly discovers Yukito's intention. With all his strength, he prevents the pole from falling on a civilian. The protagonist applauds, amused by the reaction. Impressive, even in the middle of a duel, he prioritizes the innocent. "Well, of course," responds Yama naturally. "After all, that's what I always do, although I must admit you surprised me a bit with that move." Yukito smiles, satisfied. "Then you'll have no choice but to protect all the others as well." The pole's cables break, emitting sparks. Yama opens his eyes, perplexed. Abruptly, he moves until he reaches the broken gas pipe. The reaction is immediate. An entire building flies into the air. Yama shouts, alarmed. The fire spreads uncontrollably, forcing him to invoke his water elemental to extinguish the flames with its power. "Come on, you can do it," he encourages Yukito with sarcasm. "That's not even half the water you need." The situation worsens. Nearby trees propagate the flames, and the heat damages the asphalt, even making the pavement yield under the weight of the vehicles. "This has to be a damn joke," shouts Yama and invokes two more creatures along with a clone to save the civilians. The clone helps evacuate the civilians, while he has used magic to lift the cars and prevent them from falling into the pit. In contrast, Yukito walks calmly and plants himself behind the hero. "My hands are quite busy," shouts Yama, sweating while controlling the chaos. "You don't even have an attack capable of hurting me," he tells Yukito. "It's true," admits the protagonist, "but I don't need to hurt you to hinder." He rams him with the shield. Yama loses his balance, and his expression changes radically upon seeing what's below, the drainage waters overflowing with waste. He tries to hold on, but Yukito prevents him with a cut that forces him to fall. It was the first time in his life. Yama, the great hero, submerges in the waste of thousands of people. He gets up, but Yukito has no compassion, aims a threatening weapon. "I have many more plans up my sleeve if you want to continue." Yama shouts desperately and accepts his defeat among moans, yes, feminine if they could be heard. I would say they would sound feminine. Moments later, Yama speaks with the protagonist while not bothering. "Well, it turns out that I do have bad luck. Unexpected accidents often happen to me. Oh, I also noticed that you used my attacks to cause the disorder. Anyway, it's strange that so many things happened." "How did you think of such a disaster? Something from your past life?" "Yes," responds Yukito, remembering the things he had to go through. He is surprised at how such miserable memories can become so useful. The protagonist remains thoughtful for a few seconds and breaks the silence. "Tell me, it was enough. I managed to prove my point." Yama responds cheerfully that indeed you have achieved it. He jumps agilely to the ground and adds, "But our time is running out. Very soon we will have to separate." Yukito observes him, confused. "Separate? What are you talking about?" Yama explains with seriousness. "My void barrier is about to fade, and I am the only one capable of repairing the damages we caused. You, on the other hand, must return to the hospital immediately. When you arrive, you will have to keep the devouring curse at bay." "But what the hell is a devouring curse? How don't you remember?" asks Yama with incredulity. The great tragedy of that hospital. You're a reborn one, of course you must know it. Not the slightest idea, responds Yukito with all seriousness. He laughs, thinking it's a joke, but soon realizes he is serious. Yukito doesn't know what the hell he is talking about. How can it be that you don't know about the incident? Exclaims Yama, it's harsh. Why wouldn't he know about the fires and the road collapses, right? Well, no, responds Yukito. He spent most of his life in the dungeons killing slimes. The annoyed hero now understands the magnitude of Yukito's ignorance. Then, of course, you also have no idea what the devouring curse is. Yukito shrugs, defeated. No matter how much he tried to remember, he finds nothing similar in his memories. Yama sighs, frustrated. Talking with him is exhausting. Anyway, Yukito, I no longer have time. I can't explain it to you. The barrier thought to disappear. You must head to the hospital morgue. There you will understand immediately. Yukito stops him for a moment, still confused. But Yama, with a totally serious face, responds. Listen, think about going as soon as you can. If you decide not to help, there will be thousands of deaths. Those words echo in the protagonist's head, but he withdraws without giving more details. Yukito is somewhat uneasy. Something about all this doesn't sit right with him. Without wasting more time, he activates his bracelet, setting the trap toward the hospital. The doctor assures him with the upcoming medical checkups. Everything will be fine. Yukito thanks the kindness and support over all those years. Yukito also bows as a sign of respect, although inside he can't stop thinking about what Yama said. How can he explain something he didn't even understand? But there's no time to lose. The protagonist tells them to leave. Naomi comments that she is hungry and her mother proposes buying something on the way. No, responds Yukito firmly. I will prepare the food for the celebration. Both look at him surprised, thinking it was a joke. Yukito asks them to take the house keys and the shopping list. He takes care of making the purchases. Mother and daughter agree to leave those tasks to young Yukito. Once alone, Yukito becomes serious. If he wants to discover the truth, he must go to the morgue. Although, of course, that place is only allowed to staff. He locks himself in the men's bathroom and equips Ryan's invisibility cloak. In the end, he ends up using the iron detected by the small monsters. Upon leaving, he accidentally scares a patient with a fear of ghosts. Without giving it importance, he sneaks toward the morgue. What exactly does he mean? Did he really say it seriously? Well, he assured that I would understand when I see it. The elevator bell announces the ground floor. It's the morgue. Yukito advances calmly through the silent hallway. Could Yama have been mistaken? Well, he thinks while checking his equipment. Anyway, I won't lower my guard. His warrior instinct detects nothing at all. He explores the entire room, opens the door, and peeks in. A dim light illuminates the place. He enters calmly, observing the laid-out bodies. The thought hits him crudely. Any day he could be one of them, even with all his luck. Nothing appears out of place. Annoyed, he stores his objects in the inventory. That idiot Yama only made me waste time. Then the atmosphere changed suddenly. The beds begin to shake. The dead rise. They move like rabid beasts, throwing themselves against him. Yukito grips his weapon and smiles with irony. Well, now I understand. I guess it did end up being quite obvious. The zombies advance, staggering toward Yukito. The putrid stench forces him to cover his nose. Then he remembers something similar. During those dates, a group of important adventurers reached the undead floor. So this is the curse. A zombie lunges at him. Yukito reacts immediately. He cuts its head with a slash. While fighting, his thoughts order themselves. The curse that only affects the dead. To avoid their transformation, they must be buried in a special way and on time. Otherwise, they end up like this. He pushes another away with a kick, maintaining distance. He must be extremely careful. A single bite is enough, and it will all be over. In his previous life, he knew this was eliminated by performing a ceremony. But now that information is totally unknown. The protagonist sees one of the beds. Being next to it, he turns it over, hitting it and blocking the passage of some. He runs from one bed to another to continue moving the beds, placing them as a barrier. He thinks about how he could reduce the number of zombies. Seeing one head-on, he apologizes. Surely they were very famous adventurers in life, but currently I must ensure they don't hurt anyone. From behind, Yukito opens a door. Yukito turns worried, expecting zombies, and if so, 2 rotten ones come out of that room. The protagonist raises his sword and with one movement raises his weapon to finish the other. But he stops. According to his warrior instinct, Save me, please, I'm not one of them. Yukito is stupefied. How are you still alive? There's no way to reverse a complete transformation, although it is possible to care for those who were recently bitten. Even so, he doesn't have the antidote on hand, and the barrier could collapse at any moment. He is in a dilemma. Continue exterminating the undead or try to save her. But he doesn't want to become someone like Ama, who only prioritizes efficiency. He opens his inventory. He equips the teleportation bracelet to get what is necessary. alchemy tools, leaves of the world tree, holy water, and lastly, according to the recipe, the blood of whoever will take the medicine. He realizes he has no time to lose. He takes the woman's hand and cuts the tip of her finger to obtain the blood. He begins to mix the ingredients in the cauldron. Once done, all that remains is to trust. He begins the production of sacred medicine. Warning, profession not compatible, success less than 25%. Warning, does not possess alchemy ability, success less than 2%. Medicine created successfully. Thanks to his great luck, Yukito achieves it again. As soon as he finishes, he gives her the medicine to drink. The woman's body shines with a purifying light, and after a few seconds, she returns to normal. The protagonist sighs with relief. Perhaps a little later, and it would have been too late. She remains unconscious, so he shelters her in one of the rooms. Now yes, it's time to annihilate the rest of the zombies, but they are no longer there. What happened? Did they manage to escape? What he sees is horrifying to the bone. The damn undead are merging into a grotesque mass. No. The resulting creature bears fragmented faces of the adventurers and emits monstrous screeches. It's horrible. Just the scream was enough to knock down the barricade. Yukito can't believe it. Impossible. Only the undead can unite in that way. Yukito thinks the curse is uniting to mutate. This creature is the price for having helped the woman. If the damn Yama were here, he would surely mock, but I don't regret having done it. Yukito gains momentum and attacks the beast. It defends itself using flesh as a whip. The protagonist dodges quickly and cuts the head of the abomination. The habitual method for killing zombies is cutting the head, but the creature doesn't fall and continues attacking. Yukito attacks again and cuts the head again, thinking that maybe if he leaves it completely headless, he will manage to defeat the mutant. The abomination offers resistance while Yukito cuts again and again. He moves and slices another of its heads from the mass. He doesn't change his plan. Leaving the monster headless remains the best option, even if he must destroy them one by one. Another head lost. Yukito takes distance. With this, it should be enough. But with horror, he discovers it's not. It wasn't enough. The creature seems to reorganize its body and leaves its true head exposed. Yukito curses, worried. The abomination extends its limbs, collects the zombies the protagonist had already defeated, and devours them one after another as if they were snacks. The heads he had already eliminated form again after consuming the corpses. It's the limit, thinks Yukito. If you're a zombie, you should stay underground, rotting. The only way to kill this is to cut its heads before it regenerates. The problem is that Yukito possesses no area or range abilities. He only relies on one-on-one. He could use the Staff of Foolishness but risk destroying half the hospital. I also don't want to wait for the hero to save me. It would be admitting defeat. Yukito takes too long to react. The damn creature resembles a giant toad. As the zombies join it, they evolve and form new parts on its body. It's enormous. It lets out a thunderous roar and charges violently against the walls. Its intention is to go up to the surface. Yukito must stop it before it becomes more powerful. He cuts its limbs with the sword, but apart from that, he doesn't know what else to do. He needs an attack powerful enough to destroy it in one blow without destroying the hospital. The monster continues devouring corpses, and Yukito doesn't seem to have a viable option. One moment, of course, he has it. He remembers the alchemy cauldron. The undead beast attacks, and he maintains the defensive. He moves quickly toward the cauldron and takes cover. The creature attacks. However, Yukito is again concentrated. With this cauldron, I can not only make medicines. That means if I don't have something, I just have to create it. Weapons are always closer than one thinks, whether it's a rock on the path or a metal tube like this. One can convert them into weapons when necessary. Pipe acquired. Yukito perceives the great attack and dodges it. He sheathes his sword at the same time. The monster is too impatient. Steel plate acquired. The protagonist selects his shield and, putting himself on guard, asks the beast to behave like a normal zombie. The attacks are not long in coming. Yukito repels the blow perfectly. He takes out his recipe book and flips through until finding an interesting page. Charcoal, sulfur, and potassium nitrate. But where will he get those elements? He'll have to go out to buy the necessary materials. But I wonder, why doesn't he go directly to the store and buy the gunpowder and that's it? I mean, buy bullets and take out the gunpowder. It's easier than making it. Wow, there's only one inconvenience. His bracelet has run out of energy. He used it too much in the last hours. He has no choice but to run and think about how to do it on his own. From those old woods, he can extract charcoal. Wood plank acquired. He throws it directly into the cauldron, beginning to produce charcoal. Warning, 2% probability of success. Charcoal produced successfully. Very well, starts Yukito. Now only sulfur and potassium nitrate are— Aha, where the hell am I supposed to get those things? He throws a potion over the creature's head. It becomes displeased. The protagonist comes up with the best idea. Ask an AI. With the answer in mind, Yukito observes where he could find phosphorus down there. If only a match were lit, it means someone must have won. He returns to the woman. He apologizes for checking her purse and finds what he needs. He throws it into the cauldron, extracting sulfur and potassium nitrate from the match. Warning, due to lack of profession and ability, the probability of success is less than 15%. Sulfur and potassium nitrate produced successfully. Yukito smiles confidently. With the materials ready, he can now make black powder. Gunpowder produced successfully. All he needs now are bullet casings. Bullet casings produced successfully. Yukito achieved it. Now he simply has to draw some papers, the final part. He carefully observes the details and smiles convinced. The monster will roar when. It has been trying to assassinate the protagonist for a long time and achieve it, so it decides to go after him. He throws the paper directly into the cauldron and throws his notebook to the ground. In it, what he seeks to create is clearly seen. New recipe invented, starting creation. Warning, the profession is not compatible and additionally lacks alchemy ability. Probability of success less than 5%. Warning, the user does not possess metallurgy ability. The quality received will be negative. Warning, insufficient magical power. 0.01% probability of success. Tube shotgun produced successfully. You know, I'm not in the habit of desecrating corpses. But an apology, this will be my funeral salute. And here ends this short summary, guys and girls.